Happy World Elephant Day. For those of you who are hearing about the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, or CITES, for the very first time, it is a legally binding multilateral agreement that sets rules for international trade in wildlife. The convention regulates international trade in more than 38,000 species of wild animals and plants, including their parts and derivatives. Its purpose is to ensure that this trade is legal, sustainable, and traceable. Over time, CITES has evolved in order to address the challenges of wildlife trafficking and wildlife crime. Wildlife trafficking affects not only iconic animal species like elephants, but over 7,000 species of wild animals and plants. Effective implementation and enforcement of the regulatory measures established by CITES supports conservation, sustainable use, livelihoods, and development. It also plays an important role in preventing and addressing wildlife crime. On this World Elephant Day, I wish to highlight that CITES parties are fully committed to elephant conservation and combating the illegal trade in elephant ivory, as evidenced by the numerous elephant-related decisions and resolutions that they have agreed on in the last decades. One of the results of the work of the CITES parties on elephants was the establishment of the Monitoring the Illegal Killing of Elephants program, known as MIKE. The overall aim of MIKE is to provide information for elephant range states and all relevant CITES parties to make appropriate management and enforcement decisions, and to build institutional capacity within range states for the long-term management of their elephant populations. MIKE aims to help range states in Africa and Asia to improve their ability to monitor elephant populations, detect changes in levels of illegal killing, and use this information to provide more effective law enforcement and strengthen any regulatory measures required to support such enforcement. In many elephant range states, the livelihoods and socioeconomic development of communities in both rural and urban areas depends heavily on their wildlife resources. Thus, the loss of wildlife directly or indirectly affects the livelihoods of local people. Additionally, illegal trade in natural resources within these range states deprives them of revenues, hindering economic growth. Illegal trade depletes our most valuable ecosystems. It endangers species like elephants, undermining livelihoods and hindering development, and it exposes us all to public health risks. Tackling wildlife trafficking is a complex challenge because of the wide range of motivations behind the demand for illegal wildlife and their products. These can be sought after for medicinal or fashion purposes, as pets, status symbols, or as investments. Therefore, it will require a holistic approach to end wildlife trafficking and wildlife crime. This means making efforts to enforce the law, punish the criminals involved in wildlife trafficking, but also to reduce demand for illegally sourced wildlife and provide incentives to rural communities to conserve wildlife such as elephants. Demand reduction efforts should be well targeted and aim to achieve behavioral change. CITES parties agree strongly with this approach. At CITES COP17 in 2016, the 183 parties to CITES adopted their first groundbreaking resolution on demand reduction. This resolution called for government-led, well-targeted, species-specific, and country-specific strategies to tackle demand for illegally sourced wildlife. 3 years later, parties at COP18 further agreed to develop a guidance for demand reduction strategies. The development of this guidance is well underway. It will provide practical advice on market research to establish evidence-based standard methodologies to understand the drivers and dynamics of demand, and the development of specific messaging for targeted audiences to effectively bring about behavioral change. As we mark World Elephant Day, it is my hope that you will help CITES in stressing the urgent need to support elephant range states by investing in their anti-poaching efforts and reducing demand for illegally sourced wildlife products in consumer countries. Thank you.